Hello and welcome to this week's episode of So Fired. I'm Chelsea Toronto.
I'm Dr. Lindsay Regier.
And welcome. Each week on So Fired, we take life's shitty things and turn them into pretty things.
And we share all of our issues because we have so many of them. And this week, I'm sharing this big secret that I've been holding in for a couple of months. So I'm going to tell you what it's like to be retired by the time you're 35.
Sweet.
Yeah.
This is going to be a good one today.
Yeah.
I can tell. But before we get to that, let's do all the things real quick and then we'll spend the whole day talking about you.
Okay. Well, you should go first because my whole thing is about
the whole thing is the thing. Okay. Yeah. So what do we have? So Fired. Turns out, here's a couple of things. My other bestie, I have more than one. Sorry. Thought was moving to Japan. Decide not going to. So I felt like I got one more year when you are kind of given like I don't want to say death sentence, but you're working against time and you're like, oh no, each moment counts, because he was excited to move back. It was a choice. And then found out he's not. I was like, this is amazing. I got my bestie. He's like my outdoor bestie.
Yeah.
Right. And so awesome. Then I found out you're not moving. Great. But I may have to maybe relocate for my job. So is this a reverse So Fired?
No, because you know what the So Fired part about that is that you have a destination to visit.
Yeah, I always wanted a friend in another city.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Carrie. I do have one. I just wanted one more. Okay. Also, an issue. I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed with the constant pressure every time I buy something to donate to something.
Oh, yeah. Where you have to round up to the dollar, or do you want to add $1 or else this dog's going to die?
Yeah.
Or $1 to homeless kids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Backpacks.
Uh-huh. I do feel that pressure and I'm like, I don't always want to.
Here's the thing. I'm not just talking about like the human body standing outside with like a table.
Oh, yeah. I'm talking about the checkout.
I'm talking about checkout.
Mm-hmm.
So how many times, I'm going to do a little science thing on this. Mm-hmm. How many, on average for a week, I will take how many times I buy something and at which point there the opportunity to donate. Now, in this science experiment that I'm proposing, would I also take into consideration the tip? Do you want to leave a tip option?
Yes, because...
Yes, I would agree with you.
I think that there's times when I'm like, why would I leave you a tip? You literally just made my food right now and handed it right to me.
Now, here's where I am struggling with this.
I know, because you love the tips as the hostess.
I love getting tips.
Yeah. I people tip you very well.
Handsomely.
Yeah. And that is kind of foreign to me. I'm like, why would I hand you $20 just because you handed me my food?
Because you're hosting experience. You're hosted. Actually, can I tell you a story? Oh my God, this is amazing. So it has to, I'm so glad you mentioned. So, let me just tell this quick story. Then we'll circle back and nail down the details. First, we got to get to you. We have a lot to do. So
there's a lot of things going on.
Stop dicking around over here. Okay. Yesterday, waiting for you to be done with what you were doing. And then I walked down to Wish. I also needed a pair of sunglasses, right?
Oh.
And so they were super nice. And I told them I had literally the best day yesterday. I kind of had a day picnic and it was amazing. Anyway, so I was I bought a pair of sunglasses and I was and they're like, your dress is perfect. And I was like, honestly, it really was. And they were just like, uh-huh. And I was like, I just came back from a date. And they were like, oh, really? And these ladies were older than me. I was like, yeah. And it was a picnic. And they were like, oh. And I was like, right. So we were all vibing super hard. Then I told him about my mom and San Miguel. Turns out people are pretty impressed with San Miguel day and day. It seems to be the hot destination relocation right now for boomers.
Oh.
So now I'm starting to, if anybody wanted, I'm starting to be okay, maybe this isn't that bad. It's if you're going to Aspen, that's sweet. Everyone's impressed. Okay. So we get to the thing and she's like, what do you, I'm making excuses, apologies for using cash instead of at the register because I'm a hostess and I get tipped in cash sometimes. In which case, I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm a hostess. She's like, oh, where? And I'm like, do you know Pino's? And she's like, oh, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I'm a hostess there. She's like, I love that place, but it's so hard to get into. She was like, yeah, we tried to go there 2 Fridays ago and it was so busy. And that hostess was like, no, I literally can't get you in for an hour. And then when we asked why, she just stood aside and pointed to the restaurant. Because she doesn't know she's talking about me. I'm like, no, 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 no. I am the hostess. She's like, yeah, but this hostess. I was like, no, 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 no. That is me. And she's like, oh. I saved it. And I was like, as I'm walking out, I'm like, what's your name? She's like, Rachel. I'm like, seriously, Rachel? Why just call me directly and I'll get you.
You freaking love that move. You're like, just call me
I
and
do
I'll
love
get you
it.
in.
But now I'm going to start saying, like, depending, I'm going to need you to, most people compensate me for this. But then I'm afraid.
It will cost you 20.
Yeah. But then I'm afraid if I do that, somehow I'm going to be terminated. They're going to find a way. Anyway, that's not about me right now. That's the thing. So I'm proposing that I will circle back next week at this time, in which case I monitored all of my spending. How many times was I asked? Because it makes me feel really bad.
It makes me feel so bad. And I know it's not even that much like, okay, round up to the next dollar. I think it's just like
the aggregate.
Yeah. If I'm doing that every single time,
right,
that adds up.
Right. And then like, who's doing more than $1?
Yeah. And also, I am not even quite sure where this money is going.
I know.
I don't really trust it. I'm like, are you sure it's actually going to a foundation or like to the animals?
Yeah.
I'm
Send me
not
an
quite
email.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. This feels kind of scammy. But then they're like, oh, you didn't. And like, I don't know these crocodiles. Like, Jesus.
Why don't I like bundle up all my money that I would have handed out like $1 at a time and actually give it to someone or something that I can physically do and I can see it.
100%.
Yeah.
These are called tithings.
Yeah.
And they're like, isn't there like a tax thing about this? And like, I just feel like they're getting in under like a loophole.
Yeah. I think because if you do it under a certain amount, you just don't report it to taxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's a good issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really annoying. Anyway, but today
Maybe I
is
should ask my customers, like, do you want to round up to the nearest 100?
In which case I would, because that's funny. I'm going to do that too. Do you want me to get your pizza or not? 10 spot now. That's not even enough. I meant to say a dime. Isn't a dime 100 in gambling?
Oh, I don't know.
Never mind. Sorry. Oof. All right. Let's make this about you now.
Okay.
It has been quite some time. Let's catch our listeners up. So if you have been listening to Lindsay pretty much maybe since December.
Yes.
December, Lindsay has been hedging or kind of hinting that there was something big on the horizon, but she was unable to disclose at the time. So she was really struggling. I can tell you what it looked like from my perspective, but it's just, so she had this thing, and like over as the months progressed, you could just feel the energy expanding within her, almost as if she was going to explode. Right? Because she's been waiting for a date, and it's been really hard because here at So Fired, we do our best to be very authentic and truthful and forthcoming. If you guys haven't figured it out, we don't hold back on anything.
No. And it was killing me because I have to give such vague answers when we have advice from besties or if we're talking about something. It was literally killing me because I couldn't say anything.
Yeah. And I just was like, it felt like like 2/3 of Lindsay was missing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but today is different because as of Monday, you announced not only, you are able to tell us today what's been going on. Take it from there.
Okay. So the big news is that I just sold my chiropractic business.
Congratulations. Are you happy?
I'm so excited.
Okay, good.
And yeah, I've been hinting at it since December. I really have just been like dying to tell anyone besides you and like the closest people in my life. And not even my patients knew. Everyone just found out on Monday. Yeah. So it's just been a wild wave of emotion for the past couple days.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. So you started your practice when?
I started it 5 years ago.
Okay.
In June.
Almost exactly
5 years ago.
Okay. At what point did you decide you wanted to sell the practice?
About 1 month into practice.
No. Really?
Yeah.
Shut the front door.
I don't know if like selling was exactly on the mind, but a month in, I was like, I don't want to do this forever.
No.
Yeah.
How come? Like, what about it said to you, this doesn't
I
align?
think that I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. And when I went to school to be a chiropractor, I was like, okay, awesome. I'm going to make a shit ton of money. This will be super fun. It'll be easy. Got it. Done.
That's what you were thinking?
Yeah.
Why?
That's why I went to school to be a chiropractor, because I was like, I think I can make a lot of money doing this. So, noted for anyone who wants to be a chiropractor, that's not the reason to become a chiropractor, because I'll tell you right now, there's not that much money in it. I mean, it's okay, but there's easier ways.
What gave you the impression that you were going to make a lot of money?
Because the doctor I was working for before I went to chiropractic school was making a decent amount of money.
And were they saying something to you, or is it just what you were like visually taking
It's just
in?
what I was like visually taking in. I didn't actually know numbers, but
Okay.
it just seemed like that was a thing.
Okay. So 1 month into it, you decide you're not, this isn't for you. Can you give me like specifics of what you didn't like?
My patients.
What about them?
So I think I didn't really have an ideal patient in mind of who I wanted to treat. So I was just getting a lot of complainers and a lot of people that were whining about things. And I just really have an issue with people that complain and whine about things all the time, and you're not going to do anything about it.
No, that's fair. That's not what we're about here.
No, I'm like, if you're going to complain about it, do something about it.
That's another tagline we should make.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you going to if you're going to complain about it?
If you're going to complain about it, do something about it.
Although you have given me one big like asterisk.
Oh, about which one?
My housing situation.
Okay, well, if you're going to complain about it, do something about it if you can do something about it.
Thank you. Okay. So wait, I lost my train of thought. It was a good one.
Because do you remember it was about a month in?
Yes, I do.
And I was so stressed out because also just starting my business, I had a mentor who fired us together. That's how I ended up starting the business, because I thought it was easier to start a business than to find a job. Delusional much. Yeah.
I love this. Everything about this story I love. Because you know what? You know what you're doing? You're essentially telling the story of us.
Yeah. Because I was a month in and it was so stressful and my rent is so high and I had 2 patients, and I just assumed that if I opened up a practice, I would have patients. And I'm like crying to you in the car and I'm like, I don't think I want to do this forever.
I asked you.
Yeah.
Didn't I ask
Did you ask me? Yeah. You're like, do you want to do this forever? I'm like, no. But I'm only a month in and I'm committed for the next 3 years at least, because that's how long my lease is. And it was also the trigger of me thriving out of spite. Because if there's anything that gets me fired up, it's someone doubting me. So through the past 5 years of this practice, I've just wanted to prove people wrong. So
That's a lot of spite.
A lot of spite. Like the whole first year, maybe like 2 years, I was at a networking event every single night. I was having coffee dates multiple times a day. I was just like doing events like here and there and everywhere.
You actually taught me how to network. I learned how to network from you.
Thanks. I learned how to network just trial and error. So I'm happy you didn't have to go through it.
I wasn't. Like, I was actively avoiding because I was intimidated and afraid, and I didn't realize what it meant and that there's an actual way to do it.
Yeah, there's a skill to it, and it took me a little bit to learn it.
Yeah, thank you for teaching me that. Yes. Okay, so go on.
Okay, so going on, we get to the 3-year mark, and this is actually like the business is doing like pretty well, and the lease is coming up, and I was like, you know what? I think I can do like another 3 years. So
what year was that? Do you remember?
That was 2 years ago, so 2020.
Oh.
Yeah. Kind of right around, was that COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. I literally can't remember anything. I don't recall COVID.
I kind of don't either.
No.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I literally can't remember a goddamn thing about it. People are like, that 1 hour?
No, I'm like, I don't know.
I don't remember.
It seemed like any other time in life. It just kind of went by.
That's exactly what I've been saying. And I felt like kind of bad that I've been saying it. Because everyone's got these romantic COVID stories. Mm-hmm. And that couple that met, and on their 3rd date, they went to Costa Rica. And then like...
when they stayed for months?
Months. And they've got like a video diary of it.
Yeah.
I was like, what did we do?
I forced you and Austin to come to the office and work out with me.
I was so fat then. I was pretty fat.
I feel like I was fat. So
No, you weren't, but I was like legit. Like I was on the precipice of being like, do you want to be fat or not? Because this is it. You make your call.
I don't recall that about you, but
Oh God,
okay.
everything was anyway. I don't have any COVID memories.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 years ago, your practice was
So yeah,
thriving.
like a couple years ago, it was like going pretty well, and like COVID happened, and that honestly probably would have been the time to dip out because it's like, well, COVID happened. Like that would have been
Were
a
you
perfect
thinking?
excuse.
Why didn't you?
My ego was like way too big.
You have a substantial ego.
Yeah.
It is healthy.
It is.
Of what percentage does your ego make up your existence?
I mean, I'm looking pretty good today, so that's like 99%.
Yeah, no, but on average.
On average,
when I'm just interfacing with you on a regular day, how much of your ego I'm gonna say it again. How much of your DNA is made up of your ego?
I mean, is it ego or is it being delusional? Because it's probably the majority of the personality.
Semantics.
Yeah.
So which
like
is it?
90%?
90% of your personality is ego?
I think it's delusional. 90% of the time.
Well, how much is ego
delusional
then?
ego.
That's not the point. All egos are a delusion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Technically.
I mean, it depends. I think maybe like 50 to 90, depending on the day.
Okay, so split the difference. Are you saying like 70% of your two-thirds of your
Yeah. Because the ego at the time was like, no, I'm going to keep on building up this practice. I'm going to sell it for $1 million and I'm going to peace out. That was the plan. And I did this rebrand and I was like going a lifestyle brand, life coaching. The podcast was starting like later after that.
Actually, it started in August of
2021.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was later. And I had staff, I had front desk, I had another doctor, I had a massage therapist. I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, yay. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I don't really know what happened, but then like my front desk manager went back to teaching, my massage therapist left, I got a new doctor, and it just kind of seemed to be like I was spinning my wheels on the hamster wheel of running this business. And it was just like staying pretty steady. And I'm like, why is it not growing anymore? Like it was continually growing from year 1 to 4. And then year 5 came about and it was like stagnant. I'm like,
What? I imagine you're not the only one to have experienced this in business.
Yeah.
What do professionals, businesses that have made it past that 5-year mark, what can they speak to that?
Well, I don't know if it was like chiropractic's not really essential. And the economy is kind of switching up a little bit. So like,
but your demographic,
well, when they say that they can't afford their second houses anymore, then I know.
Are they saying that?
Yeah, kind of. It's like, oh, I have to rent out my second house a little bit more often. Huh. So yeah. So when there's talks about I can't go to my second house as often, I have to rent it out more, and I can't go on this vacation this week, I have to wait until like next month. That's yeah.
Interesting. So you're the canary in the coal mine when it comes to an economic downshift in the top 1%ers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have multiple services.
Yeah. Multiple services. I have the pulse on the top 1%. Let me tell you.
What a neat skill to have. Aren't they? I told you that day I gave you the rundown that this is a fickle bunch.
It is a fickle bunch. And I think what happened was like spite wasn't driving me enough anymore after the 4th year. It was just kind of just like, when is this going to get easier? You know, and like, it's fine to coast, but me just naturally how I am is that I want to excel and grow and double every single year and exceed all my expectations. And when that doesn't happen, it gets a little discouraging, or it's also just what the fuck. Okay,
so great. We've established that now you're not happy.
Yeah.
Okay, so what motivates you? What is the catalyst that makes you decide today is the day I'm officially going to start the process of selling? And what does that process look like?
I just had a really, really, really rough day in July last year.
Can you say why?
I choose not to.
Fine.
But it was just so stressful. There was just so many things coming at me from every single direction in business, of just like finances and patience and marketing and like literally everything I feel like that could go wrong on one day just went absolutely terribly wrong. And I just had a freaking breakdown and I had to go home and cry.
Actually, I think you called me.
And I called you. And then I also had to cry.
I can't believe it was a year ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had that moment.
At that
I feel like
moment.
we were talking at 3:00 in the afternoon, actually.
Probably.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Fuck this place, I'm burning it down to the ground."
That's a tough place to get.
I'm like not showing up anymore. I'm done. Like,
You
like,
were
is that a good plan? I'm just like never gonna show up ever again.
It did feel like we checked out after that. No,
Kind
actually, no, you were still committed.
No,
Okay,
it's
but
still
when do you
committed.
actually say, like, "That's it"? I think you know what?
So,
When was it? Oh, I know
when
when
I
it was.
actually knew that it was Thanksgiving.
'Cause you went home,
Mhm.
and your family said, "This is a great idea?"
Yeah.
Or no, you told them?
I told them because my family has some investment into the business. So,
Emotional? I
emotional.
mean, they've been with you
Yeah.
since college? I mean,
Mhm.
like, they're invested in so many different ways.
Yes,
Let's
they're
not this isn't just, like as all families or the
Mhm.
families of some, like, solo startups, maybe they understand the value of their community and which can be your family.
Yep. So, they're very invested in it, and I was going home, and I'm like, "Okay, we have a 12-hour car ride or no, an 8-hour car ride ahead of us to figure
You
out."
and Austin.
Yeah, me and Austin to figure out, like, what are we doing? So, that's when I'm like, we discussed, and I was like, "Okay, I think it's just time to sell." And then I presented that to the
What did
family.
Austin say?
He's
Oh,
like, "I think that's a good idea."
and how did you feel?
Like a weight was taken off my shoulders. Just being able to express that idea out loud instead of just thinking it.
Was that the first time in which you told Austin, "I don't wanna be a chiropractor anymore"?
No, I think I told him before.
At what do you
Like,
remember at what point you told him?
probably like a few years ago.
So, if you knew pretty much day 5, 35 to be exact. How many days? Okay, if you knew day 5, what year do you think you told him? How far into it?
I don't know, maybe like a few years in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
Um,
you struggling with that.
mhm. 'Cause it's like I spent all this time and
Right.
money to become a doctor, and then it's like, "Oh my god, I'm not gonna be a doctor anymore." So there's also the idea of my ego being knocked down of not being Dr. Lindsay. It's just like, now you're a pedestrian on the street.
You'll always be my Dr. Lindsay.
Well, thank you.
Always.
Maybe for
Always.
branding purposes, I'll
Yeah,
still
for
be Dr.
sure.
Lindsay.
I'm not taking that off the logo.
So, yeah, so Thanksgiving I decided, and then I got the process started in December. And basically what happens is that you find a broker and you give them all your financials, you give them all this information, and they come back to you like a month later and they're like, "Okay, this is the listing price, this is where we're going to post it." And then there we go. And that's
And here
it.
we are.
That's
Let me
yeah.
ask you this. Would you if you could do it all over again, would you?
Yeah, but I would do it differently.
How so?
I would I would rent a room in my office instead of renting out the entire office.
Oh,
I would just start with lower overhead.
okay.
Like, the overhead was just very stressful because let's say you're making like $200,000 a year.
Mhm.
50 grand of that is like rent. If you have employees, another 50 to 60 to 70. That's also
More money.
more. There's utilities, there's marketing. Like,
Wait, you sent me those numbers. Let me
oh
read
yeah.
it off because you know what? It was intimidating to like I was like, yeah, I can see how you're not making it. In
So it's like, yeah, business wise, like I can make a couple $100,000 a year, but like taking home wise,
okay,
it's
here.
not that much. It's like 30% basically.
Read your numbers.
So, okay. So $200,000 a year, rent is 50 grand, employees at least 50 grand, utilities and all the other like daily expenses, like office supplies, like a year, that's like 24 grand.
Read.
Advertising, if I'm gonna ever run ads or like if I'm doing events and promos, that's probably like 10 to 20 grand a year, somewhere between that, like $1,000 a month ish. Taxes. And then I get to pay myself after that. So it's, if I were to do it again, and like I always tell everyone that I'm like mentoring like new in practice, you know what? Like, go with the lowest overhead possible. And me being delusional, I was like, yeah, whatever, like 4 grand a month or so for rent. That's not terrible. Like, whatever. But it does eventually like add up. And I am also not a practitioner that wants to see 100 people a day
Mhm.
because everyone's like, well, just see more patients. Just see more patients. I'm like, I don't want to. Like, I only want to work like 2.5 days a week.
That's a whole nother episode
Yeah.
right there. As we rebrand ourselves into two unemployable, undesirable,
we are
helpless
we're
adult
very
women.
two unemployable ladies right here, just trying to figure out how to live a lavish lifestyle.
Maybe that's our new tagline.
Yeah.
Desperate to live lavishly.
Yeah. So, like, I would do things differently, and I mean, I love the freedom of, like, having my own hours and having an office to go to and, like, all the things, but, like, honestly, it's gonna be so nice to be able to turn off my brain and just see what creative juices can come out and power into the podcast and, like, my network marketing stuff and just let, like, things flow instead of forcing things to happen.
I look forward to it. It's already starting to happen.
Mhm.
Naturally, I gravitate towards fashion, but just the way in which you're, like, expressing yourself through the way you're dressing
Mhm.
is radically different. So Lindsay was, like, sporty spice doctor, right? And they're, like, cute Lululemons, whatever. What do you wear?
Yeah, Lululemon.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And, like, she looks great. But now and it's always been fitted and skin tight because this demographic forces you to make choices that initially feel like your own, but then you're like, would I do this normally if I had the freedom to choose?
Right.
But so as a result of now being given the freedom to be who you are, because you finally you summon the courage and now anyway, so you're wearing like baggier clothes, you're wearing the whole gamut.
I'm wearing, like, so many things that I would have never worn because I'm like, "Well, that's not the Dr. Lindsay style."
Right.
You know, like, I have to be, like, the sporty one, and if I wore jeans to work, people are like, "Why are you so dressed up?"
Right.
I'm like, I didn't know jeans were dressy."
By your standards.
Yeah.
Just because you value $100 sweats.
Yeah, right.
Weirdos.
Right. So, yeah, I'm, like, having fun trying out some new outfits, low-rise jeans with a belly button
That's what I'm saying.
exposed,
Like,
what?
your willingness to be playful
Yeah.
and remember who you are and like, well, does Lindsay do this? Now that you've actually have temporarily taken off the outfit of being Dr. Lindsay, put it on a hanger, and they're like, I'm gonna put you in the closet for a minute and let me
Mhm.
see what other clothes I can put on and who else am I? It's really exciting to watch.
Yeah. I'm happy you're having fun with it too. And then I look at your closet in a whole new perspective.
Do you really?
Uh-huh. I'm like, "Oh, I get that now." Like,
What do you
I
mean
wanna
you
try
get what
that.
do you get?
I'm like, "Okay, I get, like, the boxy things and, like, the unfitted items and how
Really?
it can be worn a
This
little
might
bit
be the
better."
most interesting part of the today's episode. Wait, what?
I'm
Wait,
like, "Well, I'm getting a new appreciation for non-fitted clothing."
why?
Because because I'm like, "Oh, I just always thought I only looked good in, like, skin tight things."
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you get this idea?
I don't know. That's just what I thought.
You know, you actually came preloaded with that. Like, you came prepackaged. Like,
Right.
when I met you,
Yeah.
you were still only into, like,
Yeah.
skin tight stuff.
Yeah, and I guess, like, I thought I only looked good in that, so that's just what I wore, and that's my style, and that's what it is. But I'm having a new appreciation for unfitted items. Like, I wore a green dress the other day that was not fitted at all, and I got so many compliments on it. And I'm like, "Huh, okay." So I guess it's okay to, like, not have to show off my abs or, like, my ass at all times.
Despite the irony is, could you for our fucking YouTube, she's literally wearing a crop top. Her crop top, the garment itself ends right under her boobs, and her jeans are below her belly button. And she's showing off like an 18-24 pack. So like, don't listen to anything this bitch
But the
says.
jeans are baggy.
You're so full of shit. But I get it because you really are kind of playing with it. And I feel like I've been trying to teach you that like different plays better than expected.
Yeah, I know. It was just I think it was also just me being in that cycle of, like, forcing things to happen in
Really.
business of just, like, getting tunnel vision and, like, I gotta do this, and, like, XYZ equals 1, 2, 3. I was just in that mindset all the
Yeah.
time, so I'm like, "Let's just, like, not fuck with the outfits, let's just stick to, like, the usual," because that's one other thing I don't even have time to think about right
Oh,
now. So, I think
really? So that was the equivalent of like the Steve Jobs, like New Balance
yeah.
jeans and like what's her head?
Oh, Elizabeth Holmes.
Yeah, you were Elizabeth Holmes
Yeah.
because who gives a fuck? It's Steve Jobs.
Exactly. 'Cause it's
Oh,
almost
you
like
were
I have
Elizabeth Homing that whole time?
I think so. Like, when I think about it, I'm like, it's just a uniform. It's, like, easy. I'm like, "Okay, this is the go-to,"
Oh.
because I have to expend so much brain power on the other aspects of business and, like, the marketing, the advertising, what's the patient gonna need? I, like, wake up thinking, I'm like, "Okay, this patient's coming in today. They hurt their shoulder last week, and I did this, so I think I need to do this today with them." Like, that is what my brain is like.
I feel like I don't even know you. Like, how do you have so much free time for me and my nonsense? Like, where the fuck do you carve out? You know what it is? Anybody who's gonna try and date me, you're kinda hose because Lindsay is available to me all the fucking time. And just for me to tell her, like, I found a leaf in the middle of the road.
"Oh, did you? Did it have a face on it too? Like,
Let me
tell
see
me
it. Will you
more."
FaceTime me? Let me see your leaf. Because, like, anybody who just doesn't okay, anyway.
So, yeah, I think that's just, like, slowly unraveling, like, the second that I told people on Monday and, like, people came in on Tuesday, that was
Right.
my first day seeing patients, they're like, "You look so happy." They're like, "You're, like, glowing." I'm like, "I'm so fucking excited." Like, I'm like, "I am gonna miss you," and, like, the first patient I saw of the day, I was actually really
Don't
sad.
worry about it. You know why?
Why?
Because they come to Pino's a lot.
Yeah, I know. We exchange numbers.
Yeah,
We're
you'll be
going on
fine.
walks. Yeah,
And
it's
she
fine.
hustles me for a table like she's VIP.
Yeah.
Look, she ain't your doctor no mo.
So,
So,
like, I was so nervous about telling people. I'm like, "Oh my god, they're gonna hate me. They're gonna be like, 'How dare you? Like, this is such a surprise,' and, like, what?"
suck it.
And it was mostly, like, 99% was like, "Oh my god, this is so exciting. Congratulations." But what am I gonna do? That
Yeah,
was
that's your demographic.
yeah. And I was like, "Okay, I feel that, but, like, just give the new doctor a chance. He'll be great."
Who knows? You might end up liking him more.
Yeah.
So fired.
Yeah. I'm like, really the moral of the story is that no one really cares about you as much as you think that they do. Like, yeah, they're all like, "Oh, no, sad," but they'll
Don't
move
give a
on.
fuck.
Give it the summer, and they'll be like, "Lindsay who?"
Yep.
"Yep."
Yep.
Mhm,
Yeah, by 4th of July, they'll be like, "Oh, yeah, she was fun."
mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I am a fill-in doctor, so I'll
"Oh, you
probably
are?"
I am.
Again, I don't really know you very well.
I was like, "Okay, so I am the fill-in doctor, and Chelsea is the fill-in receptionist, just
Yeah.
FYI, because we need our free Core Power membership."
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
He agreed to those terms,
You
didn't he?
did.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. I should
yeah.
probably introduce myself,
You
and then
should.
he's gonna be like, "Will you?" And I'll be like, "Fuck no. No. You sound like an asshole." Not true. I'm so grateful to be partnering with you.
Yeah.
Sure shit not. Anyway, I don't ever wanna
Anyways.
be an administrative assistant ever again.
No. No.
So it has nothing to do with him, but
Unless
rather
we're
like,
both together at the same
oh
time.
my god, in which case we wouldn't be
Because they
working.
because then that would be fun.
That would be
Yeah.
really fun, actually. If you're like, "Come on, I'll be there." I'll be like, "Okay, fine."
Yeah. So, yeah, so, like, that's a big news, and essentially, I'm just selling the business. I'll be done in another month, and then I can
Like,
focus on
literally a month on Monday.
yeah, a month on Monday. And I can focus on my efforts podcasting, which is really my passion because this is the only thing that's very exciting, and it's
Yeah.
super fun.
2 years, we still really love it. I might
Yeah.
love it more now than I did then.
Yeah, and I
Like,
feel like
100%.
now I can really, like, dive into what we really wanna be doing with the brand and expanding it.
And if you did what you did with a job you fucking hated,
Yeah,
can you imagine where you're gonna get us?
I know.
When does that start?
June 16th
Alright,
is
fine.
my last day.
Good,
So, yeah.
because oh my god, we are just gonna you guys are gonna be so we're gonna now start calling you besties.
Yeah.
So besties, you are so lucky to be with us from the beginning. It only took us a
Mhm.
solid 24 months.
Way to hang in there. Thank you. I know you're very patient.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, do you have anything you'd like to say more about it?
I'm also
What would you tell somebody if they came to you and said, "Hey, I'm graduating. What do you think I should do?"
honestly, you should, like, go get a job at the joint, like, at least a couple days a week because you wanna have consistent income coming in. It's kinda scary to come out of school and you're, like, $250,000 in debt, and you're like, "So now I'm also gonna build a practice that requires a little bit of capital, and, like, where are these patients coming from?"
Like a
So
lot of capital, no?
yeah, yeah,
It just
it
depends on how
depends.
much
It
capital you
depends.
choose to need.
Yeah.
Is that
You
right?
don't really need, like it depends, yeah.
Okay.
So, I would just do that to get, like, a steady stream of income going, and then, like, save up your money, do that for, like, 6 months to a year, and then open up a practice, rent out a room, go small. Like my friend Taylor definitely did it right. Like she started off renting out a room in a gym, and then she rented a room in a nurture and like a wellness space, and now she has her own space. So like she did it right. She's smarter than me. So
Oh.
I think she is really,
If
really doing it the right
anything,
way.
I wouldn't say she's smarter than you. She's just has a different inner working in her brain.
She's just more responsible than other people.
Shout out.
And like,
My best
and
friend,
also don't become a doctor of chiropractic for the money. Become like a medical doctor for the money. Okay. Like, honestly, if I would do it all over again, I would have been an orthopedic surgeon.
No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
I think you like front facing.
Well, I do like front facing. I
But
could have
if you were
been,
going to be a doctor,
if I
you
were to
would.
be a doctor, I'd be an orthopedic surgeon.
Okay.
Mhm. So that's what I would have done.
I would have been
differently.
a doctor of psychology.
Yeah, you would have been.
I regret not doing that.
But
Maybe not.
nah, I don't think you do.
They're sad.
Yeah, it's sad.
We don't like sad.
You'll learn a lot about yourself, and there's so much room for growth as a person. Like, and being delusional, I think is okay. Like,
No, it helps. You're
it
incredible.
really helps. I think being delusional is a little bit helpful, honestly.
Yeah, I think it's an undervalued asset.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should try it. I think it's also you might call it fighting imposter syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fake it till you make it. Let's just call it something like it is being delusional.
Yeah.
Just changing. Hey, I felt delusional yesterday when I went to my very first pickleball class at the Wash Park Rec Center.
Why'd you feel delusional?
I was under the impression this was an easy sport.
I'm also under the impression that it's an easy sport.
I don't know who did the branding on this, but the Boomers pulled one. They dug it out in the last inning, and they did one more great branding marketing thing by telling us that pickleball was easy on the joints, and it was a even sport that seniors love. Yeah, it was hard as shit. I was they're like, and then they were like talking shit. They're like, this paddle's a little bit shorter than the tennis racket. And they said it multiple times. And I was like, which they're saying, run.
Oh,
You have to run harder. Because it's not great.
Well, let's give it another try.
I got to tell you, the sound of that wiffle ball hitting that thing, though, it is very satisfying.
Oh.
The feeling that you get when you hit the golf ball and you get the ping off the driver?
Mm-hmm.
When you hit a solid, I did have a couple quality hits that made that noise. I was like,
well, we should just practice volleying at the
oh yeah, for sure.
court.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like, it's still pretty hard. I don't know why they think, like seniors should still be concerned about like blowing out a knee. Like it's yeah. I thought it was going to be like shuffleboardy or like badminton.
Oh, that is definitely a sedentary sport.
I was thinking it was going to be a little more like badminton adjacent.
I wonder if badminton will have a comeback.
What's it called? A cocklesuck?
It's called the shuttlecock.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What did I say?
Sucklecock.
Okay. Well, let me just say, it was. Wait, that's it. That's all I think I have to say.
Okay, besties, that is what we have for you today. I'm happy that you hung through there and through my quarter life crises.
Do you think you'll continue to have quarter life crises?
Probably one in another month when I have no job anymore.
No job doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're gainfully employed.
Yeah. There might be a day where I like spin out and need to like watch Netflix for a day, but I think they're behind me. Maybe one more.
Well, it's no pressure.
Yeah.
You know what? They're so fun and they're very pleasant. It's like half a day. Yeah. It's technically from like 10 to 12 because you work out in the morning.
So stay tuned in another month. I will let you know what my crisis is that day. The day that I'm actually done, I think that's going to be a little emotional. So we'll stay tuned.
We should plan something.
Yeah.
You should plan something.
I thought you were planning a party for me.
I am, but it's not Friday.
Oh, that's okay.
I feel like the actual day you should have, like at the end of school.
Yeah, have a party.
Like have something.
Okay. We'll discuss. So anyways.
We'll do a live stream so our listeners can be there.
Make sure you share this episode with your bestie and It also helps if you share it on Instagram, take a screenshot of this episode, tag at So Fired, and share your takeaways. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Disclaimer. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The stories and statements expressed herein are experiences and opinions. They may not represent the views of the production studio or the hosts. If you disagree with our content, that's okay. No podcast is perfect for everyone.